around the edge. Now we can wait for these to cool, put them together. Now that we got everything cooled off, what we're gonna do, this step is a little annoying. We're gonna have to sand around the edge here, so when we go to flux and solder this top ring on, it will join nice. We want this top part absolutely clear of any debris. Kind of use your fingernail to push down to get the whole surface here. Alright, we've got enough of the surface. Right up here at the top, it doesn't matter because the ring is going to be below that. But now this is a very important step. We have sanded our ring right here, and you can see it's clean. So we're going to have to get that dirty again. Okay, now we got our ring dirty again. We're going to want to wipe off as much soot as we can. And we're going to want to just kind of set this on here. And just get it on there without touching the inner band. We're going to look at the inner band. We're going to make sure there's no soot residue on it. Okay, we're good. We're going to take our outer ring here, a bit of emery paper. We're just going to mar it up. And what this is doing is it's cleaning it. That's the most important part, and it's giving it a textured surface for the solder to grab into. We got some solder we got to deal with here. Got to get that off. Now that we've got the solder removed from the side that we're putting down on top, we're just going to slide this one on. It doesn't matter touching above the outer ring at this point. Well, to a certain extent. You don't really want to touch right near this nook here. We're going to push this as tight as we can get it. Then we take one of these. I like to use the 8/1000th of an inch. It's the perfect width, I think. Got a little spider here. What we're going to do now, I'm going to try to do this the best I can with recording. I'll have a better look at this when I'm not recording. So we're just going to wedge this in there, and since this ring is nice and tight, it should stay where this pushes it to. If you can hear the ring, the spinning part of the ring chattering, that's good, because that means it's sitting in there nice and loose. I'm just gently rolling it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to inspect the ring to see if it has the same gap throughout. If you're worried about this ring sinking down once you're done, put a steel wire in here and bind it. It'll be kind of hard to pull the steel wire out once you're done, but just don't rip on it, because if it rips and snaps, good luck getting that out. If you try to make this ring and you fail, do not get discouraged. I have a few failures of this ring myself. This one is a failure because the rings, they'll spin but they're too tight, and the copper one I made too thick, so when I went to file it down to the surface, it lost its pattern. This one, the copper ring is perfect. The silver ring was perfect, but a little bit of solder leached in there, just the tiniest little bit, and I've had success in the past sawing a little channel here and getting the solder out, but this one's just a little bit too far underneath the ring and I can't fix it. Now we're going to flux. With this part, you really need to be careful. Make sure your flux isn't too runny. Don't apply too much. If your flux leaches through the bottom of this ring at all and touches this inner ring, even though it's dirty, it has a chance of soldering to it. And when you pick this up and move it, you gotta just be ever so gentle. I'm gonna let this flux dry before I heat it up. That way it has less of a chance to leach to the other side. you're going to want an extra piece of solder cut, just in case. I got an extra piece right here. And if I haven't explained how I stack my solder joints, anything that isn't soldered on top of a solder joint, when I'm going to solder it, it gets hard solder. So then this inner band is hard soldered, this twist is hard soldered, but these outer walls are medium soldered. I do not like to use soft solder. It has too much of a patina to it. Whereas the medium or hard solder, you see it a lot less. And for this part, it's kind of hard to avoid heating the solder joint, so you're just going to have to do it. You don't really want to heat the bottom of this ring at all, because if that solder on the bottom melts, it has a higher chance of sticking to the ring than the stuff on the top. This part you have to be really careful with. Make sure your metal's up to temperature before you touch your solder, otherwise you can push your ring down. So I'm just going to kind of touch the inner band right now until it melts. Alright, we got a chunk stuck on there now. This is a bit tricky. So we got our first little bit of solder in there. Tiny dab more. I'm kind of going to flood this side just a little bit. Okay, I still got composure with my ring. I just checked it. I might just let this solder seep down. We'll see what it wants to do. Alright, we got our extra solder here. Watch your heat. This is very important. You don't want to put your heat in the wrong place for too long. You'll melt your metal in a place where you're not trying to. And I'm telling you, it kind of sucks when you do that. You can ruin a piece. All right, if you can get a little bit of solder dabbed on, that's perfect. Then you don't have to touch it. Might have to push it around a little bit. Alright, so this should be enough solder. I'm just going to work the top here with some heat. It's flowing on both sides. And 1, 2, 3, quench. Alright guys, this is the ring. Fresh after soldering. As you can see, it spins. I was actually hoping that it wouldn't. Not so that I could show you guys how to fix anything or anything like that, but usually, from my experience, if you do every step correctly and this inner ring is sticking, it's because there's borax or there's just some gunk keeping it stuck. And you kind of want it to be stuck until you pickle it, because when you put this on your mandrel and you go to file it, this is just going to want to spin and spin and spin. Anyways guys, that's how you do this. I can visually see that this is a fully soldered joint, so I don't need to pickle it to know. I'm not going to show you guys shaping this up, filing it, or polishing it. If you guys want to see that stuff, that's going to be a separate video. This video is already up to, I think, 30 gigabytes. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to email me. Feel to send me a message on Facebook. I have a Etsy page. I have a Facebook page. You can email my profile too. I'll put all the links in the description. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. This was a bit of a challenge making this video. God bless.